Okay, now I think we got something going on. Now I'm live. Oh, there we go. This should work. There I am. All right. What's going on, everybody? How's everybody doing out there right now? Let me move my microphone in so you can actually, hear things that I'm going to say. That would be nice. Oh, it's so good to see you guys again. How have you all been doing out there? Let's see what we got going on right now. We got a healthy 5 people watching right now, and I know we got some of the usual suspects. Of course, my ever so faithful moderators. We got Ben Coombs and Aaron from Alba's Band in the house. Guys, always great to have you. Thank you so much for doing the duty. You guys have earned that blue wrench if ever anybody did. We also got Brian Landreth in the house. Brian, how are you, buddy? Thank you for the kind words on some of the recent videos. I greatly appreciated that. And Jay Steen is in the house as well. Jay, thank you so much for joining in, my friend. All right, we are up and rolling. We got some time going, and things are looking good. How's everybody doing out there tonight? Want to know how you guys are all doing. It's been wow, what a week it has been. It's been a bit of a jet set week, to be honest with you. Before we get into the thick of things, of course, this will be for you guys if you haven't done so as well. Also, for those of you watching on the replay, welcome to the live show. We do this every Thursday night at 8 p.m., 8:05 p.m., somewhere in that vicinity here Pacific time. So please do consider clicking that subscribe button and becoming a member of our little community. We are growing this on a daily basis, or a weekly basis, I think is the more appropriate term to use, because we don't do this daily. We do it weekly. My hair is all a mess because, quite frankly, I didn't feel like doing it today. So, whatever. Here we go. It's been a bit of an interesting week, fellas. A lot of things are starting to pick up, and there's some new things coming in and some new connections that I'm trying to see about, making some things happen. It's going to be an interesting week, and it's going to be an interesting beginning of summer, especially with some of the newer content ideas that I have developing and coming up very soon, which I hope you all will join me for when they get published, which I'm sure some of you that have been lurking around the channel, you will be joining me for that. As Aaron is saying right now, if you are watching right now, this is your first time, or if you're a loyal viewer, please do consider right now taking the time to share the link to the show tonight with your friends, your family, your loved ones, anybody who's really into talking guitar and talking music and some other things that we're going to be talking about today. Please do consider sending them our way. It's great to have you all here. Of course, as you guys know, we took the last week off. The big reason for doing that is I just kind of needed some time off. Yep. We got somebody who knows what's going on in here. Syndicate. Did I say that right? Syndicate? Syndicate. That's what I see. Yep. I needed a little bit of time off, and Syndicate, it is great to have you in, and of course, repping the AEW thing going on. Basically, I wanted to try to do a live stream, and I wanted to try to do it remotely last week, just on my phone, because I figured, I might be able to do something like that, and it would be cool to do a show on the road for you guys and talk a little bit about, why I was out of town, what that trip was really, meaning to me, and what all it meant in the long-term thing. And since we didn't get to do it, I figured I'd address it here on the show this week with sort of the tagline of what it means and why you should probably consider having more hobbies than you think. This is probably more of a talk geared to those of us that have chosen to take the path of making music and the guitar our way of earning a living. But I think it does speak to everybody. I think it speaks to anybody who guitar is a hobby. But like any art form, music is one, if it is a hobby, is one of those hobbies that often, you're very emotionally invested in. And sometimes you need to take a bit of time away from in order to truly appreciate the effect that it has in your overall life and what it means to you. And that's how I feel about, music and the profession that I've chosen. I chose many, many years ago to make YouTube part of my career and part of how I earn a living. But at the same time, I also chose to make music in general, just the exact same thing. I chose it to make it my career. I chose to make it the thing that I did to sort of find my way in the world, as it were, and just have a grand old time with it. I mean, it really was a big time deal for me, and it is just. I think you guys can definitely see sometimes throughout the videos that I do that, sometimes this stuff can wear heavily on you. And I haven't had much time to take off really in the recent past because I'm busy making these videos for you guys. I'm busy creating content that you guys are going to enjoy and that you will want to watch. And because of that, I needed a bit of time away. And so I wanted to kind of, talk about that. I wanted to talk about what it means to remove oneself from the equation, so to speak, and why it's important for us to think about having some sort of way that we can get away from it. Even if we're just a hobbyist guitar player, I think it is important for us to find ways that we can just, hang out and enjoy life and not worry so much all the time about keeping up with the Joneses and what the hell is on his pedal board, and can I get that thing on my pedal board, am I going to buy this next latest pedal, and all this kind of stuff. Basically, suffice it to say that trying to kind of get you guys relaxed a little bit so that next time you see a pedal demoed on on Stompbox Saturday, you're not immediately pulling out your wallet and thinking, can I afford the money for this? Maybe, back it up a little bit, direct that to other things. But before we get into the thick of that, I do want to go over to the chat and see who else has joined us, because now we've got 9 people watching. I know we have the usual suspects of Ben Coombs and Aaron from Albus Band. Brian Landreth is in here. Terry's GG&G in the house. What's going on, Terry? And it looks like we have JJ's House of Jams. JJ, I believe this is the first time you are joining me on the live show. Thank you so much for joining. I really appreciate it, and I appreciate all you guys for joining in on the fun as well. Syndicate makes a great point of using the guitar to get away from everything. I can definitely understand that, my friend. He is in the house watching with us tonight, as is Brian Landreth. We have Jay Steen was up here earlier. I saw him. Man, there are some of you guys who are not showing your faces. Please do interact with us. We would love to get to know you, invite you in. Dwight Bailey has shown his face. Dwight, how you doing, my friend? Thank you so much for joining me tonight. I greatly appreciate you all joining. Again, guys, if you are joining for the first time, please do introduce yourselves. We want to know who all these people are watching, because essentially we're just becoming friends. This is really what this is all about. And, me doing something that can help you guys along with your day and helping everything go along as we grow this community, grow this channel, and hopefully I can do some stuff for you guys to make some stuff happen. Welcome to the live show, Marsman. Thank you so much for joining in. If you are tagging Albus, I'm guessing he probably recommended it to you. So thank you again, all of you, so much for joining in. It really does mean a lot. So now I just want to transition into one quick thing before we get on to the whole topic of hobbies and what that means. I do want to let you guys know that the Patreon launch is still kind of in a soft stage right now. But if you do, pardon me, If you do want to go over, check out some of the stuff that is going to be going up on the Patreon, patreon.com/Sean Pierce Johnson. You can preview some of the stuff that I've done to change the feed up a little bit, what the tiers are going to be, and what you're going to get for your patron. We got 2 tiers running right now that I think is actually probably the best way of doing things at the moment. And just hopefully I've done enough to add some value to it. We have a $5 tier and a $75 tier. Right now, honestly, if you know, all of 10 people watching right now did $5 a month, that would actually be a significant amount of money that I would feel like I would actually be able to, you know, help offset some of the costs, or at least make something really cool for you guys. So let me go back to the chat before we get into the thick of the topic, and I just want to make sure that I've gotten to everybody before I get off on this little tangent. Aaron is saying, you're right in that as wonderful as music guitar, you got to step back sometimes to reappreciate and reinvigorate the process. Indeed, and I'm going to touch on that in a little bit. Brian is asking, did you like my audio I sent from you from the last show? Yes, I did. I finally listened to it, and that was fun. Brian has been doing some really cool stuff where he's running the audio from the live show through a bunch of pedals and through a guitar amp, and he sent me a sample of it from last week. It was pretty awesome. I don't think I've ever heard my voice sound quite like that. All right, let's see. We got going on. What else we got going on? All right, I think we got everybody that I know right now. Okay. Well, with 12 people watching right now, which I thank you all so much for joining us, and at 13 minutes in, I think it's a good time for us to get into the topic of hobbies and what that means to you as a musician, and how it can actually help you in the long run, even if guitar is just a hobby for you. So the reason that the show was skipped last week was because my dad and I went out to Las Vegas. We were in town because All Elite Wrestling, a brand new wrestling company founded by Cody Rhodes, the Young Bucks, and a guy by the name of Tony Khan, whose father actually is the owner, and his family is actually the ones who own the Jacksonville Jaguars football team. They held their debut event called Double or Nothing, and it's kind of a big deal if you're a wrestling fan to see that a new company with some significant financial backing is coming to prominence and has enough buzz about it that you can. There's some perceived competition right now to, you know, the juggernaut of WWE, which I've been watching since I was a kid. So it was an exciting time. It was a historic weekend, and then I was also there for the Starrcast event, which was, you know, just a whole lot of fun. I feel like being a part of that weekend really kind of helped me get out of a little bit of a funk I was in terms of, you know, videos and playing and content, and just coming home. It really made things, it really helped put things into perspective, and I got some words of encouragement from some of the people at that particular event, and I couldn't be happier. But before getting into sort of like a, you know, little like slideshow of my time there, I just wanted to talk about some other simple things that I like to do in terms of having hobbies, things that I like, and what it means sort of to me, and how I work that into my everyday life so that I constantly have some reminders of like ways that I can get out of it. A big thing for me is obviously reading. I think Aaron Albus Band shares my love, especially considering his band's name is Albus. We're fans of fantasy. We like music that is, you know, we like books. We like reading. We like things that take us out of reality. So in that respect, I have always been a huge Tolkien fan, and I try to read something from Tolkien, whether that is whether that's from the Lord of the Rings or whether that's The Hobbit. I try to read some of that at least once a year because it is just so well done and it's so immersive. And that's the thing that I love the most about it, is that it really does take you away from anything. On the flip side of that, we have, just as we had recently with the ending of the series on HBO, we have Game of Thrones. A Song of Ice and Fire from George R.R. Martin. I picked up the first book right around the time that the series was premiering on HBO. I worked at a Borders, so they were easily available. I got a nice discount on it because I worked there. And I decided to start reading them, and I really enjoyed them, and I still enjoy reading to them to this day. As a matter of fact, I'm currently rereading the entire series right now, which I'm very excited about. I mean, I'm still compelled to read them. Other than that, I also love reading about things that I'm interested in outside of music, and even music things I like reading, but I've kind of gotten away from reading music autobiographies and memoirs because I notice half the time not everybody remembers exactly what's going on. And after a while, because I don't know. I tried to read somebody's autobiography recently, and it just, I guess maybe their ghostwriters or their co-writers just weren't any good, but I didn't find it to be a very compelling read. So I just decided to, you know, put it down. Now I actually find myself really enjoying reading nonfiction books about wrestling because I've had an interest in it since I was a kid. And because at one time, before I found the guitar and before I found music and wanted to do that as my profession, I actually wanted to get into wrestling. I wanted to be a professional wrestler, or, you know, be involved with it in some way, shape, or form. I wanted to be a part of that. So having the ability to take away a having the ability to get away from sort of the mundane and the reality of everything through fantasy and through fiction and through reading about things that aren't like nonfiction, that isn't necessarily about my chosen field and chosen profession, I find is really, really great in terms of helping me maintain some level of sanity. Another hobby that I've recently gotten into and is probably a little too expensive for my liking is I just really got into these Funko Pop things. I started collecting the Lord of the Rings series, and the Hobbit ones are also on my sort of wish list and bucket list of the collection to start making complete. But I've also found that they're kind of a cool little personality thing to sort of dress the studio for shoots. You've been seeing the Bullet Club Funko Pops on one of my bass traps. I have a window open to try to keep it cool, and somebody just drove by something. Anyway, but I like them. I like having them around. They inject a little personality into the studio aside from the acoustic treatments, which do look cool. But I need something a little bit different to liven up the atmosphere a little bit. I got Dale Cooper and Laura Palmer from Twin Peaks staring at me on the other bass trap, as well as a Jimi Hendrix and a Tiny Rick from Rick and Morty, which I showed you guys. And I added a couple other ones to the collection before I left. Johnny Cash from Folsom Prison, live at Folsom Prison, has joined the collection as well, which I'm really excited about. That's a really cool one. There's two of them. There's one that's him at Folsom Prison, which is this one, and then they have a version that's called Man in Black, where he's just, you know, in an all-black outfit with his guitar slung across his back. But I loved this one because I just wanted to really have one where Johnny was playing and he was, you know, in action. Just some really cool stuff. And then just because I grew up with it and it was a great freaking cartoon growing up, I found this exclusive Hot Topic SpongeBob SquarePants from the Band Geeks episode, which he's, you know, gripping the microphone and singing his heart out. And boy, I couldn't pass it up. You know, they were getting really hard to find. They were in stores, but they're not online. So I saw a couple of them on the shelves, and I grabbed them. But I love it. I just think it's hilarious. So I've kind of gotten into that. I tend to stick with things that I enjoy. I see Brian commenting, who killed Laura Palmer? I don't know who killed Laura Palmer. I do know who killed Laura Palmer. Or is it Carrie Page? Wink, wink. Nudge, nudge. So I've mainly been sticking to things that I already enjoy, and I've gotten into a couple channels that do like to do, they do like to do, what do you call it? They do Funko unboxings, and they have Funko collections. And there's a lot of those channels that do some really great work, but at the end of the day, for me, I can't collect everything because I don't have that much space. So I try to pick the things that speak to me the most. That's why I pick up things like the Bullet Club, because I'm a fan of those wrestlers, Kenny Omega, Cody, and the Young Bucks. Having those, knowing that what their influence is in general to me, that means a lot. I love Twin Peaks. I've been intrigued by it ever since I started watching. So, boom, having Coop and Laura there, it's kind of a cool deal. They're like in the Black Lodge, so Laura's in her dress with her meanwhile pose, which is kind of fun. And who wouldn't want Johnny Cash and Jimi Hendrix up there as a little bit of inspiration? So you'll be seeing those dressing the set from here and now, coming up in some future videos, which I'm looking forward to, and I'm just having a good time with it. And before we get into the real nitty gritty of me kind of explaining myself with my recent trip, I want to go back to the chat and see what you all are talking about. You got a lot of stuff going on. So here we go. All right. Thank you all for Aaron and Brian commenting about joining Patreon. Hey, I understand. I know that everybody needs to have money. And if you guys can support at any point in time, that doesn't matter to me. You guys are here right now, and that means a lot. Dwight is asking if I ever wrestle in the ring. I don't personally. I've been asked if I would ever do it, and I would totally do it. But I need to get in shape first, personally. Terry Himes is in the house. Terry, how are you, my friend? Welcome to the show. Glad to have you here. Jay saying, I heard about the new wrestling league. I did a delivery today, and a guy was telling me about it. Good for them for starting it. Indeed, it's a really good thing. I want to read Terry's GG&G about something political. Not to get political, but this is just too absurd not to mention. Trump refuses to visit Canada until the government destroys McCain's super fries. I don't even know what that is, but it's terrible. Anyway. Okay. Aaron is saying, I thought of putting out a shirt that says WIT, as in wizard in training. There you go. Like it. Terry's GG, I wonder if they will get a brainstorm and bring out a Game of Zombies TV show. Because there's not enough zombie TV shows now, right? Please. Syndicate is asking what my favorite match from Double or Nothing is. I'll tell you that in just a moment. Yes, they're apparently doing a Game of Thrones prequel, as Albus says. 4 in the works, 1 confirmed to be shooting by year end. It sounds terrible. Don't even know what to say. So that's that. J-Steen, I was about to say everyone needs a hobby or a way to get from the stress of life. Yes, absolutely. Aaron is recommending a music-related book that, whether you know, like them or not, is fantastic. It's Tranny from Laura Jane Grace. That would be an interesting thing to read. I would actually be very curious about that. Jay is asking, do you ever hear of Skylanders? My son used to collect those. Those were pretty cool and were part of a video game. I do remember Skylanders. I actually do remember that. I personally did not collect those. It's a little too much for me. Terry, I know who shot JR. Do you know who shot JR? Oh, this is fun. Hey, Janice is in the house. Janice, how are you, my friend? Thank you for joining in. All right. Quentin James is lurking, but he is here. Well, Quentin, welcome to the stream, my friend. Terry apparently thinks I would have been a better WCW champion than David Arquette was. Well, you know, I met David Arquette, and boy, does he regret that. He did not want to do that. He did not want to be involved in that in any way, shape, or form. So, I can't fault the guy. Now he's actually legit, So, more power to him anyway. All right. So, here we go. The big hobby for me recently, which not many people seem to take too seriously, which it is what it is. I understand that there's a stigma to which I just say, yeah, screw you. I'll do what I want. I can't believe somebody is using a table saw at this time of day. It's like, come on, man. Relax. Go inside, have a beer, clock out for the day. Oh, that's interesting, Janice. I actually am the cast of Dallas. My name, Janice Roberta Jr., and my confirmation name, Sue Ellen. Wow. Dang. There you go. Awesome. All right. So let's kind of talk about this elephant in the room. Why do I even like wrestling? I like it because it really does get me out of the everything that I do. Like, really, in all honesty, it's completely opposite of who I am. It's completely opposite of my, sort of quiet at times, but I can be out there. I can be a little bit charismatic, but oftentimes, like, I just want to chill. I just want to relax. I don't want to be too boisterous up in your face. And wrestling is definitely not that. I'm not very athletic. Wrestling isn't technically an athletic presentation if you really think about it. These guys and these girls, they put their bodies on the line in order to perform in this genre. And there's something about the way that certain stories get told that I actually really appreciate. And I just appreciate it. And I've always appreciated it, and I've always loved it. It was my superheroes. And I didn't read comic books as a kid. So these were my superheroes. So the big thing for this weekend, obviously, was one, being able to spend time with my dad, which I don't get a whole lot of opportunities to do much these days. Being that I live another county away, it's a good hour and a half to drive up to LA in good traffic. And just with the way things are, you don't have as much time as you wish you did. So we decided to go out to Vegas, and we decided to go to this Double or Nothing event, which we're going to see a few of my little memories in just a little bit. But in addition to that show, we also got tickets to this Starrcast convention, which was essentially like probably one of the coolest wrestling conventions I've ever been to. Was definitely one that I was excited about. Some of the meet and greet opportunities that I got to do, and just being there for such a historic event, I was really, really excited about. So let's go ahead and check out a little bit of my boom trip. So this, obviously, as you can see, is the, main poster. For those of you who don't know who any of these people are, you might recognize one or two. Those mostly being Chris Jericho is on there. You may or may not recognize Cody Rhodes. He was in WWE for a while. And Jim Ross is down at the bottom, right in the center, the legendary play-by-play announcer, who I adore. So we packed ourselves up and went out to Vegas, and we went to Starrcast. Starrcast was really cool. Now, for those of you who don't know, Blue Chew is the first chewable male enhancement thing of its kind. It's not a pill. You can get it discreetly, Blue Chew, you should be paying me for the spot right now. They send it to you discreetly, right to your door, and it's the first chewable, which means that it's faster acting than the pill. So, if you would like to try out Blue Chew for yourself, go to bluechew.com and enter the promo code STARRCAST to get your first shipment for something. I don't know. I did not try it, and I don't need it at this point in my life. I hope to never need it, but that's not here nor there. But anyway, the gold bracelet got us access to some of these really cool panels and really cool shows, the first of which was a panel that was remembering Owen Hart. Now, Owen Hart sadly died 20 years ago, and I was able to watch a panel with Jim Ross, Jerry the King Lawler, Mark Henry, Davey Boy Smith Jr., son of the British Bulldog, and Tony Schiavone, legendary WCW play-by-play announcer, reminisce about who Owen Hart was as a performer, who he was as a person. It was an hour and a half long, and it was literally just them sharing stories about this person that they knew and that they loved. And they did a phenomenal job. Mark Henry has probably got to be one of the coolest mofos on the planet. They all shared some really great stories about him, some really sad ones about that day. And I'm telling you, man, this was a fantastic way to start out and celebrate Owen, someone who I really enjoyed their work. Now, the next day, we went to another panel, and this was probably one of the more intriguing panels that we saw that weekend. Now, from left to right, we have Scott Hudson. Scott Hudson worked for WCW on their internet division, ended up working his way to the play-by-play desk. He was sort of moderating the panel. The guy next to him on his left is David Crockett, holdover from the famous Crockett family that essentially were the precursors to WCW World Championship Wrestling, still involved with the company during its big boom period and pretty much all the way through to the end. Next to him is Mark Madden. Mark Madden was a radio announcer in Pittsburgh, eventually worked with WCW.com, and also was one of the final play-by-play announcers towards the end of WCW's television show Nitro on the Turner Networks. Next to him is Guy Evans. Guy Evans is the author of the book Nitro. This is basically what the point of the panel was talking about the book and then talking about WCW in general, the perils and the pitfalls, the rise and the fall. Next to him, Eric Bischoff, the guy, the man of WCW, turned it around and sadly was not given the chance to make it into something better. And next to him, again, Tony Schiavone. This was probably one of the more eye-opening panels, to the point where Guy, the author, who is the third guy from the right, was selling copies of his book, and I actually went and bought a copy, and I'm reading it right now. It's a fascinating read. He's interviewed Turner executives, wrestlers, WCW executives, but the way he writes it and the way the story unfolds, it almost unfolds kind of like a novel and kind of like a drama. He tries to present this nonfiction material in a very compelling way, and to me, I think he succeeds. This was a great one. This was the one that my dad definitely enjoyed. It was Tony Schiavone one-on-one with Arn Anderson, legendary member of the Four Horsemen. This was the first time that Arn Anderson was able to speak on a microphone in front of a crowd of people after being unceremoniously released from the WWE as a backstage producer. I won't go into too much detail other than say that this was really, really cool. Now, this was in the MGM Grand, right near the Garden Arena. It was really cool to be able to walk through this hotel and see how far this group has gone in such a short period of time and the buzz that is behind it. It really was all over the place. That's the entrance to the Garden Arena. Man, we had some great seats, which I believe is one of the next photos. Okay, this is a funny picture. This actually comes from the What Culture WW Wrestling channel. They were going around the Starrcast event and asking people questions, and I ended up taking over the video for about 10 seconds. The guy to my left is Adam. I believe he's Adam Cleary of What Culture, and he asked me whether or not I thought CM Punk was going to show up at Double or Nothing, to which I said, does it even matter? And I guess he thought that I was owning the moment, so he just gave me the microphone. It was all of 10 seconds, but it was funny. This was cool. Got to actually shake Eric Bischoff's hand, talk to him for a couple of minutes. It was really cool. I just thanked him for being honest on his show regarding, the financial sides of WCW, the way that he's talking about the production end of things. It's really quite inspiring to someone like me that's consistently producing content. And he still works in television. He's not completely out of the game. He's still a great talk. I got to hold this. Now, what is the big deal with this? This is the Winged Eagle WWF World Heavyweight Championship belt. This is the very same WWF Championship belt that was worn by Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels at WrestleMania 12, of which 8-year-old me was in the audience of. So I got to take quite a few photos with that belt. Sling it over my shoulder, hold it up and act like I actually won it. At one point, it was my ambition to hold the belt exactly like that. And they even let me wear it, which I don't know why anyone would allow me to wear that belt, but I got to. And it's pretty rad. It is heavy. It is really heavy. Heavier than you would ever think one of these things would be. But it is just so cool that I got to actually wear something that meant so much to me when I was younger. This is just a shot of some of the merch that I knew my wife would like. It's stuffed little white huskies for the kids because Cody Rhodes has a white husky. And I don't know. I thought she'd find it cute. All right. So now we get to the big day. We're at the event. We're at the entrance to the Garden Arena, and there were my tickets, and then boom. That is the inside of the arena. Now, you can probably tell it's not full or anything by any stretch of the imagination. We were there about half an hour before the show was due to start, and those were our seats. Great seats. Great view the entire night. Oh man, it was just really cool. And of course, by the time the show got started, it was on. We had the women just owning things with Awesome Kong in the center, face to face with Nyla Rose. They put on a great show. And this was the match of the night for me. I think it was Syndicate who was asking what my favorite match of the night was, and it was most definitely Dustin Rhodes versus Cody Rhodes. Great storytelling, and it was one of the only wrestling matches I've ever watched that pretty much drove me to tears. Finally, Bret Hart comes out, and he's going to present the new AEW Championship belt. It was really cool to see Bret, and it was a big deal for them to get him. So I'm very, very cool. Just a very cool moment. And finally, at the end of it all, Jon Moxley, the former Dean Ambrose, debuting and DDTing Kenny Omega on casino chips. Because that's wrestling. I got to hold the legit WCW World Heavyweight Championship belt. The same one owned and held by, and still currently in his possession, Ric Flair. That thing was around his waist, and that was pretty awesome. Got to hold it. and meet Tony Schiavone, which was really cool, because he truly does appreciate the fact that he meant a lot to so many people. Like, he really does get it. He was very personable, very nice to me and my dad, and I had a great time with it. And finally, this was a big deal for me. And this kind of leads me to sort of circle this all back, was meeting Cody Rhodes. Now, for those of you who don't know why this is a big deal, Cody has been on a whirlwind the last 3 years. He left WWE because he was unsatisfied with where he was going, and he felt like he needed to go out and find himself. And he did, and he's owning it right now, to the point where I'm so astounded by the buzz that he's been able to create and the impact that he's been able to have. So in the process of this meet and greet, I said to him, I just wish that the music industry was as receptive to change as much as the wrestling industry, and was as hungry for that change as, the wrestling industry is. And he said, well, it's like anything with entertainment. The people who make the greatest impact are the disruptors. So you need to go out there and you need to be a disruptor. And with that, I was just like, okay, well, I need to figure out what being a disruptor means in this greater context. But maybe he's on to something there. And I think that will be an interesting way of moving forward and seeing what all that means in the future. And because of that meeting, because of the things that happened over that weekend, things that people told me, and my feelings just in general about the way I want things to be done over the course of the next few months or so, we're going to be thinking a little bit about what it means to be a disruptor and just see how things go. So yeah, I don't really know what it means, but it means that we're going to be really thinking about things moving forward and how we can just, Aaron's got it right, disruptor. So SPJ is here to FSU in a word. Precisely. Exactly. I think that's exactly what it says. All right, let's go back to this chat and see what you guys were talking about while I was doing my whole spiel. All right. All right, Aaron with Albus Band. Wrestling is fantasy, characters and stories. I trained at 21 because I wanted to be Macho Man. Now that's awesome. But his elbow drop would have set up my finisher, a good night's sleep, spinning split-legged pump handle. God damn. That's pretty cool that you trained, man. I honestly wish I could have at least done like a little bit. That's an interesting little Albus Aaron trivia bit. Blue chew to prevent blue balls, Terry asks. Well, if the person that you are using the blue chew for indulges you, I don't see why it couldn't prevent it. Evan Ward apparently snorts blue chew. Let me know how that works out for you, Evan, and welcome to the show. Yes, I am not a nugget. I do remember that, Aaron. It was really sad. His top faves, Macho Man, Scott Hall, Raven, Mick Foley, and Rob Van Dam. Not a bad top 10. Not a bad top 5. Brian with some throwbacks here. I started watching wrestling. It was Junkyard Dog, Skandar Akbar, Colbuck Robley, Ted DiBiase, Andre the Giant, Ric Flair, and The King. Man, I met some of those guys that weekend. They're still doing good. Connecticut. Top 5, Ric Flair, Rey Mysterio, RVD, Ricky Steamboat, and The Rock. Not bad. He liked Saturn as Perry Saturn was really good, but that Lazy Eye, not so much. I agree. Yeah, Iron Sheik was definitely a crazy guy, Jay. He's still nuts. If you don't know the Chris Benoit story, don't do it. Don't Google it. Don't listen to Aaron. Don't listen to him. Don't. It'll just bring you down. Excuse me for not knowing much about wrestling, but Shawn Michaels, Love Pedal? That's true, Shawn Michael of Love Pedal, but spelled completely differently than Shawn Michaels, the Heartbreak Kid. Oh, Dwight got to meet Adam West. I think he wins. He was a big guy. I was the size of Robin to him. That's awesome. Jay, what you're actually hearing right now, that is a little preset that I conjured up with the Nux Cerberus. That's actually what we're using right now for all the guitar sounds is the Cerberus. Riley, IO Acura, who's not in the stream tonight but is always watching, he sent me a bunch of impulse responses that I've been trying to play around with here and there a little bit, and I finally nailed one that I really like and I feel is actually doing the bulk of what I would want to do. Some of them, it feels like he, not necessarily his fault, they weren't his work, but whoever made the impulse responses, there was too much a proximity effect in the recording, so the low end is just astronomically high. I'm going to go ahead and mute my microphone and just play around for a little bit and show you guys some of the stuff that I've come up with. Yep. This thing is a really cool. It really is. I'm definitely thinking we'll be using it pretty much going forward here for the live streams, just because it's really easy to get fired up and going. We don't have to do a whole lot. But yeah, I'm really enjoying it. This is a really great unit, and we're going to be seeing some more stuff from Nux in the near future, or New X, I should say, in the near future. So I'm really excited about it. Keone Hernandez, what's going on, my friend? Thanks for joining in. Hope you enjoyed the little jam up there. Yeah, as Albus was telling you, it's the Nux Cerberus. Please do check out the demo if you haven't already. I go into some detail about how you can use some of the effects and some different situations of how you use it. But it's a really cool sounding pedal. I'm just using presets at the moment, so that's a little bit more than... That's a pretty basic clean patch with some reverb and a little bit of chorus. Just really nice. The second preset is just the modern distortion, the higher gain stuff. Yeah, just a really nice kind of crunchy distortion tone, which responds pretty well if I plug a different guitar in. It takes on a whole different character, which is awesome. And then I have something really over the top. And that is definitely, you know, it's the Blues Breaker style overdrive into the British style, like modded British distortion, and then some delay to really carry things out. And it just really... just really kind of carries out. And then the final one, this is the one that I spent a lot of time really, you know, trying to craft. I wanted something very ambient. And actually, Keone, if you're still watching, this patch that I'm playing through right now is not much different than what I created during the preset mode portion of the Cerberus demo. So if you go and find that video, and I go into detail about how you create a preset, and you'll actually hear me put that together, and it's not much different. I go bit by bit. And it's basically using the Blues Breaker overdrive for not really any grit. It's just more for a little bit of color, but it's the different modulations, which I believe I can actually pull up the... No, I don't have the Cerberus software up right now, but I believe it has the Univibe. It has some chorus on it. It definitely has reverb and delay on there to really kind of help carry things out. It's just really meant to be washy. And I believe I have the delay and reverb running in parallel. But I have the mixes up pretty high. Yeah. And just kind of like, you know, takes over. Which I really like. Yeah. Really cool stuff. Let's see what we got going on. Hey, Charlie S has joined in. How you doing, Charlie? Thanks for coming in. Appreciate you joining. Let's see. got some talk about the Cerberus. Yeah, definitely. Nux is doing better than Joya with their higher end stuff. I do kind of feel like that is a bit of the truth, and I hate to say that because the Joya stuff has been very good. I really do still want one of those dual clones amplifiers. I played one at the first GitCon and was super impressed. I still want one of those. And Aaron's right. There really is no reason in this day and age, just like with cars, that every company, regardless of origin, should make good stuff. And he's absolutely right. There is no excuse anymore. There's absolutely no excuse. Brian has a pretty good question. Would the Matthews Cosmonaut be a good pedal to be an all-round reverb delay for less ambient sounds? I'd like to save some pedal board space. Let's see. Man, what am I thinking? Is it a good pedal to be all around? It's a pretty hefty verb pedal. If I had it quickly available, I'd just plug it in and show you. But I think it might be a little too heavy to be an all-around reverb. You'd probably be able to make it work if you just spend some time with it. It's still a great pedal, but it definitely, once you turn the depth up, that's really where a lot of the Matthews reverbs start to excel, is when they're a bit more dense and they're a bit longer, and the decay is like, the decay is going out quite a ways. Jay loves the Ocean's 11, and I had an Ocean's 11, and I liked it too. That would be a really good one to go ahead and do. That's a good option. I like that one a lot. So yeah, but I am definitely loving the Cerberus. Aaron likes the Hall of Fame too, which I have a tone print for, Yeah. The Cerberus is really great, and like I said, we'll be seeing some more Nux stuff coming up in the near future. I don't know exactly when, still kind of waiting on the information from the company, but we will be seeing a few new things from them later on in the year. Hopefully by summer's end, or at least midsummer, we'll have something. Brian is on the SPJ tone print now, man. That was so much fun. I still love that tone print. It is so great. Of course, I say it's great. I came up with it. I love it. It sounds so good. I'm very proud of it. I'm glad people have been downloading it. I didn't realize how many people would actually be downloading it. And then a bunch of people I know and people that I don't even know have said, like, oh, I love your tone print. I think it's really great. Ah! So that's all well and good. Let's see. What else we got going on here? Man, everybody's got some really interesting stuff going on. Brian's looking for a reverb delay in one pedal. So that would really explain why the Cosmonaut would work for you, because it's got that delay. Let's see. A reverb and delay in one. Oh, reverb and delay in one. Dude, look up the Nux Atlantic. I did a demo of it, so it's on the channel, Brian. So check that out. That might be more along the lines of what you're looking for. If you don't want anything too heavily ambient and you just want something like straight ahead, like really good sounding reverb, really good sounding delays, but with some flexible routing option where you can do verb into delay or delay into verb or run them in parallel, the Nux Atlantic is a really cool option. As a matter of fact, the reverbs were so impressive to me that I ended up using the reverbs on quite a lot of the demos that I did around the time that I demoed the Atlantic. So you hear the reverb on a lot of other videos as well. It's a great pedal. And Aaron's recommending the Dispatch Master, and that's another really great one. I don't have one myself, but I know I've heard plenty of people play with them, and they all sound great. Stephen from the Pedal Zone loves that pedal, and he always makes it sound great. Jay brings up a good point with the caverns, but I wonder if the caverns might be too much on the reverbs. It's basically my songwriting process. Well, Jay, with the DDR, I would feel like, because half that pedal is a drive, it would really depend if you just needed a delay or you just needed a reverb. And keep in mind, too, there's no tap on it. So if that's a big thing, it might be a problem. Like Aaron says, it's reverb or delay and drive. So, I did not realize there was a spring in the caverns, too. I mean, Robert and I went over it at GitCon, but that was a while ago. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. Yep. There we go. That's good stuff. All right, friends, it is about that time. We are going to be wrapping up a little bit here. 12 of you are still here. Thank you so much to all of you for sticking around for this thing. It's been really cool to kind of start growing this community, and we reached a really cool milestone of 4,900 subscribers just last week. While I was gone, I did not make mention of it, but we are officially, as of right now, I'm actually going to pull it up right now. We are officially at 4,910 subscribers. So we are 90 subscribers away from 5K, which if we can manage to do another 90 subscribers by June 15th, which is when I'm planning on doing the full-on rollout of the SPJ Patreon, that would be awesome. If we can launch the Patreon with 5,000 subscribers. So basically, if everybody watching just invited 10 of their friends to join in the community, become a part of this little group, this little family, this little community of friends that like to talk gear, talk about life, just anything in general, we can definitely get to that goal. Thank you all for sending congratulations. I'm seeing Ben, Terry, and Brian. I don't want you guys to think that I'm not going to acknowledge you. It really does mean a lot that you guys come back weekly and still show up to watch the videos. So, we got some time before June 15th, but I would love to see that number go up, 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 up. As the days go on, I would really appreciate it. So if you guys would, over the course of the next week or so, send a link to one of my videos to friends of yours that are musicians, other people within the guitar community that you feel like maybe they are a little disenfranchised and they need somebody to come along and disrupt the flow of what a guitar channel is supposed to be like. That's kind of what I'm setting out to do. I don't want you guys to think of me as like, my word is gold. I want you guys to think of me as a guy who encourages conversation, encourages everybody to, here's a piece of equipment. What do you think about it? Here's a piece of equipment. What do you want to hear about it? Because as we start moving into the summer, I'm going to be taking on some different kinds of content that won't necessarily be related to demos. So there will be some time for us to come up with some new ideas and some creative things that we can do in order to just keep things going. So with all that being said, if every person right now got 10 of their friends to join in, that would mean the world to me to get us over that 5K mark. And of course, also just make the Patreon rollout as awesome as it possibly can be. So I'm hoping that we can do that. I just want to make sure that I get everybody before I wrap this up. Aaron is talking about the Echoes from Keeley. Hopefully I'll be able to get one of those. I'm almost certain that I will, but we're going to have to wait for when it's ready. Aaron, thank you for getting the customers to pull their phones out and click the subscribe button, and hopefully they enjoy it, which is all that I care about. Dwight, thank you for that, man. I appreciate having you here. And some of those photos you've been sending me, man, are those cool Gibsons. Oh, yeah. That's some hot stuff right there. All right. Come back on Ben's Hangout on Sunday, Brian is asking. Ben, are you doing a hangout on Sunday? Because if I have the time, maybe we should make that a thing. Or at least we should try to get on a hang some other time. I definitely want to get a hangout going where we can talk, Aaron and Ben, kind of introduce you to my mods if you have not gotten to know them through other channels as well. I think that would be a lot of fun for us to do to get some cool new stories. I learned something about Aaron tonight that I did not realize before, so that's pretty awesome. But for the time being, guys, thank you all so much for joining me for this show. It was really cool to be able to share this with you guys and to see how many of you were receptive to me sharing this cool little thing that I got to do over the weekend to kind of fuel one of my hobbies, get me out of the, flow of, constantly demos and shooting and guitar and constantly demos and shooting and guitar, demo, shoot, guitar, edit, upload, all that stuff. Got me out of the house for 4 days, got me somewhere else, and it's, I would absolutely love it. All right, Terry is saying that it's a community hangout, so I could join in. Awesome. If I have the time, Ben, send me all the details. And if I'm available for a short period of time, I'd love to jump on. All right. Aaron can take a bump, and I've jobbed. It ruled. Lol. Okay. 5 p.m. start time, round table this weekend. Awesome. So just, Ben, once you have the link, just send it to me over Facebook, and I'll see if I can make it for a little bit. Let's see, 5 p.m. Am I doing anything this Sunday? I don't think so. I should be able to do it. And if something comes up, I'll let you know. All right, guys, I'm clocking out for the night. Thank you all so much for joining in. All 12 of you who are still here. I know there's a lot. I usually try to get to everybody's name, but there are so many of you going on right now, and I can't thank you enough for joining in the fun. This was really cool for me. I appreciate you letting me share some of my other passions outside of music with you guys as well. Hopefully you enjoyed some of the stories, and I would encourage you all at the end of all this, and having said all this, that if you ever need something to get out of the flow, find it, hold on to it, and always remember that it's there to help you not get away completely, but it's there to help you to recharge, re-energize, so that when you go back to the thing that you really love, the thing that you have to do for work, the thing that you have to do in order to make your way in this world, that you'll come back to it with a renewed energy, and that you'll eventually be more passionate than you ever were about what you do, because that's exactly what this past weekend did for me. Thank you all so much for joining in. Please do click the subscribe button if you haven't already. And until next week, my friends, I'm Sean Pierce Johnson. I wish you all out there great tone, happy stomping, and an awesome rest of your week. Good night, my friends.